The United States and Canada share the world's longest international border, over 5,500 miles, mostly an invisible line, not a wall. It's more than a political division. It's a symbol of peace and cooperation. Millions cross every year, tourists, workers, families, while goods flow in a vital, constant rhythm. This relationship is built on trust and mutual understanding. Communities on both sides often feel like one, separated only by a customs checkpoint. Many live in one country and work in the other, shopping and building friendships across the line. Canada is the top trading partner for most U.S. states, and the U.S. is Canada's largest. This trade supports millions of jobs and keeps both economies running. The border is a bridge, not a barrier. But what happens when that trust is tested? A single policy decision can have immediate, profound consequences for those who depend on open crossings. The Alaska Highway toll crisis is a stark reminder of how quickly things can change. Tonight, we look at a remote highway, a new toll, and the people caught in the middle. This isn't just about a road fee. It's about fairness, sovereignty, and the future of our shared continent. The Alaska situation warns us, never take a peaceful border for granted. We must always work to protect it. The Alaska Highway is more than a road. It's Alaska's lifeline to the outside world. Built during World War II, it stretches nearly 1,400 miles from British Columbia to Alaska, cutting through rugged wilderness. For Alaskans, it's the main artery for food, medicine, and supplies. Most goods arrive by truck along this route. Without it, store shelves would empty and businesses would halt. Truck drivers face harsh conditions, ensuring Alaska stays connected. The highway passes through British Columbia and the Yukon, making cross-border cooperation essential. For decades, American truckers have relied on dependable access through Canada. Any disruption isn't a minor inconvenience, it's an existential threat. Even a short delay can mean shortages. A closure could trigger a statewide emergency. That's why the relationship with Canadian authorities is so critical. The highway is more than pavement. It's a pact of mutual reliance. It's a promise that this corridor will remain open and affordable for those who depend on it. Alaska's reliance on this route makes it uniquely vulnerable. The highway's stability is the foundation of daily life for nearly 730,000 Alaskans. It's a shared responsibility and a shared risk. On November 1, 2025, British Columbia announced a new toll for all commercial vehicles on its portion of the Alaska Highway. The fee, $1,500 per round trip, would take effect in just 3 weeks, with no consultation. The shock was immediate. For decades, this route symbolized cross-border harmony. Overnight, it became a source of anxiety. For trucking companies, the toll meant thousands in new costs per truck, millions for fleets. Alaskan businesses had set prices for the winter, with no way to absorb the sudden increase. Truckers faced a stark choice: pay the toll or stop delivering goods. There are no alternative land routes. This is Alaska's only road link. The lack of warning felt like a betrayal, undermining trust built over generations. The toll wasn't just a fee, it was a financial wall on a lifeline. Alaskan businesses and residents felt trapped, with British Columbia holding all the leverage. The announcement sent shockwaves through both countries. The toll booth, even as a concept, became a symbol of a new obstacle. It threatened to upend the delicate balance that kept Alaska supplied. The crisis had begun. The toll's impact was immediate. Grocery stores saw prices spike as shipping companies added a Canadian surcharge. Everyday items like milk and produce became even more expensive, especially in remote communities. Small businesses struggled as costs soared, making it hard to stay competitive or even stay open. The uncertainty froze investments and hiring as supply chains became unstable. For families, the rising cost of living became a daily struggle. Some had to choose between groceries, heating, or medicine. The emotional toll was real. Alaskans felt isolated, targeted, and powerless. The sense of being cut off from the rest of the country deepened. Even the U.S. military, reliant on the highway for supplies, faced higher costs, adding a national security dimension. The ripple effects reached every corner of Alaskan life. A single policy change on a remote highway had shaken an entire state. The crisis was no longer abstract. It was personal, economic, and strategic. Alaska's stability was at risk. From British Columbia's perspective, the toll was about economics and fairness. Maintaining the Alaska Highway is costly, especially with heavy American truck traffic. For years, BC taxpayers covered repairs and snow removal, while American companies paid little. The province argued the toll was a standard user fee, exempting local traffic but targeting heavy-haul trucks. With tightening budgets, the subsidy was no longer sustainable. Officials insisted the funds would go directly to highway maintenance, benefiting all users. They compared it to tolls Canadian truckers pay in the US, just leveling the playing field. The move was popular locally, seen as overdue. BC stressed this was about managing their infrastructure, not punishing Alaska. Years of informal talks had failed. Decisive action was needed. The American response was swift and furious. Alaska's governor called it an economic attack. Town halls filled with angry residents and business owners. The hashtag #HackTheToll trended as stories of price hikes and shortages spread. Alaska's congressional delegation condemned the toll, calling for federal intervention. The trucking industry warned of a dangerous precedent and threatened retaliation. Americans saw the highway as a joint North American corridor, not just Canadian infrastructure. The toll felt like a betrayal by a close ally. Calls for reciprocal fees on Canadian trucks entering the US grew louder. The issue became a national symbol of unfairness and rising international tensions. What started as a regional dispute now resonated across the country. The dispute quickly escalated into a diplomatic crisis. The US ambassador lodged a formal protest. The State Department demanded a suspension of the toll. The issue landed on the desks of the US President and Canadian Prime Minister. Canada's federal government faced pressure from both the US and its own business community. Under Canadian law, provinces control their highways, limiting Ottawa's options. The White House warned the toll could jeopardize broader cooperation. US Congress proposed retaliatory fees on Canadian trucks, sparking panic among Canadian exporters. The crisis exposed the fragile balance between provincial rights and national interests. Both governments scrambled to avoid a trade war. The Alaska Highway toll had become a high-stakes test of diplomacy. The partnership that once set a global example was suddenly at risk. The need for compromise was urgent. With tensions at a breaking point, dialogue became the only way forward. British Columbia suspended the toll for emergency negotiations. A working group formed, officials from BC, Alaska, the US, and Canada. The goal addressed BC's funding needs without crippling Alaska. Proposals included a joint infrastructure fund and a smaller, phased-in toll. The most promising solution, a binational management agreement, treating the highway as a shared asset. A joint commission would oversee maintenance and funding, ensuring transparency and trust. This crisis was a wake-up call. Partnership requires constant communication and respect. The path back was paved with compromise and shared values. By working together, the US and Canada could reaffirm their unique bond. The future depends on maintaining bridges, not building walls. The hopeful outcome: leaders choose cooperation, keeping the border a symbol of peace and prosperity. The Alaska Highway crisis showed how quickly trust can be shaken and how vital it is to restore it. Our shared future depends on it.